This is the part 1 of series on how to write an essay, an effective sentence. Just as parts of a car have specific names, so do parts of the English language. Of course, some parts belong to other parts. A verb can be an auxiliary or a noun can be possessive. Think about how these parts of speech fit together. Practice identifying the parts of speech in your everyday English reading. Usually, there are 8 main parts of speech that are commonly discussed in grammar books. These are article, noun, adjective, adverb, verb, preposition, conjunction, and pronoun. The old tired man was sitting under a tree and patiently waiting for his son to arrive. From this sentence, you can see all the examples of 8 main parts of speech. The parts of sentence are not the same as parts of speech. For example, one sentence part is the subject. The subject of a sentence could be a noun, a pronoun, or even another sentence. For example, Amy went to work at 9 this morning. And here, Amy is simple subject. That Amy went to work at 9 this morning was surprising. That Amy went to work at 9 this morning is clause as subject. The two key parts of a sentence are the subject and the predicate. The subject is what the sentence is about, and the predicate says something about the subject. In the first sentence, Amy is the subject. Went to work at 9 this morning is the predicate. In second sentence, that Amy went to work at 9 this morning is the subject. Was surprising is the predicate. Other important parts of a sentence are clauses and phrases. A phrase is a group of words that may have nouns or verbs, but there is no subject doing anything. For example, live in a theater, walking into a building, before the first assignment, after the movie, broken in pieces because of her intelligence. A clause is a group of words that has a subject that is doing something. For example, since he laughs at bad jokes, this is a dependent clause. Dependent clauses have subject doing something, but they have a subordinate conjunction at the beginning of the clause. That means that the clause can stand by itself as a complete sentence. In other words, the dependent clause is dependent upon another clause. It can't make a complete sentence by itself. His mother is a successful writer. This is an independent clause. If the clause can stand by itself and form a complete sentence, it is an independent clause. Although there are basic rules of grammar, good writers find ways to express themselves through writing in different ways. Grammatically, a sentence needs a subject and a predicate. Stylistically, it needs much more. A sentence should be clear to the reader. We have to choose words that are sure of and use them correctly. The verb be in all its forms is a wicked choice of verb in many cases. If your sentence expresses a simple idea, it probably needs to be a short sentence. More complex ideas may need longer sentences, so vary your sentence lengths as well. If all your sentences are short, your writing sounds choppy. If all your sentences are long, your writing can be overly complicated and hard to understand. Finally, subject-verb agreement. For example, the cup is full of coffee. The cups are full of coffee. Concise writing uses no more words than necessary to convey meaning. Here are 5 steps to achieve conciseness in your writing. Step 1. Avoid redundancy. Look at this list. The words in parentheses aren't necessary. They say the same thing as the main phrase. Step 2. Make your subject clear and defined. For example, instead of the practice of revision would improve our writing, revision would improve our writing is better. Avoid empty subjects it and there. Instead of writing, there is no way to become a better writer than to practice. Just write. We can become better writers if we practice. Step 3. Use strong verbs. Avoid using sentences that rely overly on some form of the verb be in combination with nouns or preposition. For example, instead of what we found was a solution to the problem, it's better to write we solved the problem. Step 4. Avoid vague words. Words like thing, staff, material, people, get, or did should be replaced with precise nouns or verbs. For example, instead, I needed to get some stuff at the store, better write, I needed to buy some groceries at the farmer's market. Step 5. Remove unnecessary modifiers. Too many modifiers weaken the force of your writing. They bury your main ideas in a mountain of words that don't mean much. Look for modifiers like many, really, quite, in my opinion, so on, and edit them out of your writing. Instead of writing, in my opinion, that movie was really quite good. I'm very glad we saw it. Just write, that movie was fantastic. I'm glad we saw it. If that sounds too simple, think of other ways to modify it that add information. Adding words like really or quite don't add information. However, you can say that maybe was an interesting retelling of a familiar story.